throughout almost all the game, I thought this was all real. I didn't think this was fictional at all.
Shh, Aksha, what are you talking about? It is all real. What do you mean? Are you saying this was just a narrative that was created?
Welcome to the game playlist. My name is Akshan, and my favorite tutorial in a game was Titanfall 2. That was a fun tutorial. Learned the game. Fun stuff. I'm sure there's a better one, but I can't think of any now. Next to me.
Hi, my name is Sashan, and my favorite tutorial is Cuphead because it showed how bad gaming journalism is.
Haha. I can't even think of a tutorial, but my name is Aruk. But continue. Sorry.
Well said. That's my favorite one too, actually, Anuk. My name is Dilantha, and my favorite gaming tutorial is the one that Anuk just said.
Brilliant. I
Nice,
love it.
guys.
I love it in the tutorial when
Yep.
All right.
Don't forget that moment, that pivotal.
Oh yeah, Akshan, what about when? You remember that?
Oh, dude. I forgot that happens. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm changing my answer. I'm changing my answer to. Yeah, it's a sensible decision there.
Yeah, guys.
All right.
Good game, right? Another good game, right?
Good game. Yeah.
This is a podcast where every month one of us picks a game and the rest of us are forced to play that game. That person may have played the game before, not played the game before. Who knows? But we have some limits for that. But
You say forced to play this game.
Yes, we're forced to play this game.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Well,
I mean,
Dilantha feels that way in episode 10 of
Season 1, yeah.
of season 1, where
What was episode 10?
Happy Tumble Burger Farm.
I thought you were talking about the Outer Wilds.
And stay tuned for him to feel the same way. Episode 10, season 2.
True, unless he gets it.
No, I get
He's
it.
getting
No, I get it.
I'll be spinning the wheel. Anyway.
Oh, I actually, you know what?
We'll
figure it out.
We'll figure it out. All right. So today's game is the Beginner's Guide, it's picked by me. I should mention.
Yeah.
Picked by me. The Beginner's Guide. It's a game from 2015 made by Davey Redden, who made the Stanley Parable, and he has a new game coming out, which probably would have already come out by now, called Wonderstar. Stanley Parable, if you've heard of it even, it's a game kind of about games, and this game is no different, except I think it's not as comedic in tone compared to Stanley Parable. It is a walking simulator. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah,
That's the best.
that's the first thing that really stood out. It is more of a walking simulator than anything else.
It is a walking simulator. If you're a fan of walking simulators, I highly recommend you try it. It's very short as well. But yes, so when it comes down to talking about games like this, usually we talk about like the aesthetic, the presentation first, and then we talk about gameplay. But I think we'll talk about gameplay first because it'll be 2 seconds. You move and you click.
What?
You sometimes jump. Don't forget that one.
You can jump. You can jump at points.
And sometimes you move backwards.
and forwards
Sometimes you move
And
backwards.
upwards and downwards.
and vertically.
Yeah,
And there's puzzle solving. Don't forget the puzzle.
There's a bit of puzzle solving, yes.
Yeah.
But if you're playing this game and you're looking like if you're looking to play a game for mechanics, like in-depth gameplay mechanics, you're not gonna get that here. If you played a game like I'm trying to think, if you've ever played Firewatch or What Remains of Edith Finch, those have more gameplay mechanics than this, to be fair. But they are in the same genre courtyard of walking simulator, where the story and the narrative that's being unveiled is why you're playing it. So yeah, gameplay, you just walk around. I did have to turn up my sensitivity a bunch though, just because the default sensitivity was so low.
Really? What's the reason?
I think I'm just used to so high. I think I've just been playing Overwatch so much that, and I've reduced the sensitivity on Overwatch so much that every game I have to reduce the sensitivity down because it's too fast for me.
Oh, okay.
Because I can't hit.
There's not that much. There's not that much. I mean, personally, I felt like there wasn't that urgent a need for low or high sensitivity, but okay, interesting.
There isn't, but let's say I'm like, okay, I'm looking to the left and I turn all the way around 180 degrees.
Okay, makes sense.
It gets annoying, so I just change it. But yeah, so there's nothing really much to talk about in regards to the movement and stuff. But the game, the presentation of this game is that when you load in, Davey Redden himself, the game maker, shut up, is guiding you through a collection of games made by, as he describes, a friend of his named Coda. And the game starts you off by showing Coda's first game, which is like a Counter-Strike map that he just sort of put together. And the way he presents it is he's asking the audience and the player to look at what the game maker was trying to say with the game, or what they were trying to communicate with why is he yelling? Communicating what you want to say about the game and why, and what the game maker was trying to do with it. And one of the things that he says, like, that's stuck in my mind, is is that these games are not all fascinating as games, but let's try and talk about his games for what they are rather than for what they're not, which is bored out throughout my lord. I'm glad Bingo's enjoying it. And that's bored out throughout the whole game. And as it goes through Coda's like game making history essentially, and like what he ends up doing with the games he makes. So yeah, question to y'all is just I played this game 2015. I played this game close to when it came out. Although the first time I saw the game was I was watching someone else play it, and after about 30 minutes of playing it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this game. Then I got it and I played it. So I didn't really say what the game is about to y'all. So when y'all played it, and it was a kind of like a museum of some other guy's games. What did y'all think? Like when your first impressions got into the game, you're like, okay, what am I doing?
It feels a very odd looking game that is based on a source engine with a story of some sort about this dude. It's a very odd story. It's not like your typical story. I mean,
I agree. The narrative is not.
There's a lot of look, like, I think there's a lot of subtlety as well. Like, if you take the game at face value, I don't think you get a lot out of it. You'll just be going through we're just going through like basically unfinished projects. But I think the way it conveys its narrative is interesting. Whatever it is, yeah.
So, when I first played it,
you were like, what the heck?
Yes, I was a bit thrown off by what exactly was happening.
Yes level.
Yes, because that's the very first level.
What was your favorite level? No, go on.
But I was expecting something very similar along the lines of the Stanley Parable.
Sorry, quick cue. Did all of y'all play the Stanley Parable?
I have.
Yes.
no, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
So I haven't either. So it's also my first.
Okay.
I was thinking it would be something along those lines, and I was thinking that it was going to be like what's the word? Like a very linear game, in the sense that I didn't expect that it was levels like the way it is.
Mhm.
So for some reason, I was trying to parkour my way out of the little box area that you start off in, thinking, okay, is this what I'm supposed to do?
What's even more amazing is Sashan did this without even achievement incentive. He just did it for the love of the game.
I was trying every which way to get out of this by jumping on the boxes and
I know what you mean, because in Stanley Parable, there's like parts where you can try and game glitch your way through a window, and you think that you glitched the game, and then the game's like, "Congratulations, you just glitched through a window. Do you want a
Yeah.
reward?"
yeah. So like I was like thinking along those lines. I was like thinking there has to be more to this, right? There can't just be. It just can't be. You're showing me the first creation of a game developer because like it didn't feel. It didn't
Finished.
feel right.
It didn't feel right.
It didn't feel. Yeah, it didn't feel right. And then like then it kind of made more sense as you play more levels because like when you think about it, like a lot of games spawn from other games.
Mhm.
So like what was it? Counter Strike's mod of Half-Life. Portal is also a mod of it's also a Half-Life mod, right?
No,
No,
it
it's a
was
different game.
as in they use the first prototype was in. It wasn't really a mod. It was like Gabe Newell hired those developers to make Portal.
Yeah. But like CS was a mod of or
Yes.
like
Yeah.
In
or like a
fact,
different version.
The Stanley Parable was a Gmod mod of not Gmod mod, but a mod of Half Life as well before it made its own game.
Yeah. So like what made sense to me is the fact that like the first map being like a Counter-Strike map makes sense because like it kind of it gives perspective that okay, the developer either grew up or really liked this game, so they start like tinkering with the game that they like before actually moving on to making games from scratch. You use elements that are in the game itself, right? Like that game is very much like the dust maps from Counter Strike.
Yeah, it is very much the dust map.
Yeah.
Sorry, that first game, I might have got it wrong. Didn't he say that the first game was just a CS map?
It was.
Oh,
It
it
was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying that like it really sets a premise because like lots of people we're always the gamer and like we never think about the dev side of things.
Mhm.
So like it's an interesting perspective is all that it is.
Yeah, this game very much through the narration and through the games itself, like each individual game makes you think about the dev or the devs. Well, the dev.
And it's
who's
very and it's realistic in its approach, right? Because like if you think about it, he as a developer you wouldn't need to necessarily put that creation as your first creation as a game because like you're technically just making a map inside a game. But to this developer, it's technically the starting point from when they knew that they wanted to develop games. It's from when they went from being a map creator to a game creator.
Yeah, it's like that first map is like a bunch of nonsense for the most part. It's just boxes everywhere. Which, when it comes to creation of any art form, the first thing a person does is usually subpar. Like not the greatest, but they're experimenting. They're trying out the tools.
Yeah.
So that really represents that the fact the game starts there, and as you said, it was very realistic how each game got better, like in terms of like visually they got better technically.
Yeah.
But also the what do you call like the environments, the way everything was placed. Like if you contrast that level to the house cleaning level later on,
Yeah.
it's like night and day.
Yeah, like each game gets better direction. It gets better, everything about the games just improve, and like it's yeah, you're like following the story of a dev, and like you see their growth.
Yes. when I first played the game, when I was just playing it, I knew Davey Redden was the guy who made Stanley Parable, and so he was talking and saying, "Oh, this game's by a friend of mine named Coda." When I was 2015, how old was I?
17.
17 or
17.
7. I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
No, 17. Throughout almost all the game, I thought this was all real. I didn't think this was fictional at all.
Shh, Aksha, what are you talking about? It is all real. What do you mean? Are you saying this was just a narrative that was created?
I was so like, this is really interesting. It is like a documentary in game form.
I will say this: I was under the same impression up until the very last few chapters.
Mm.
I thought you were going to say up until this moment where you broke the immersion for me. Can you imagine you found out just now on this podcast that none of that? Oh, boy.
But I feel like,
Oh, spoiler alert, by the way, for those of you
yeah,
who haven't played the game yet.
yeah. If you, I mean,
Very good
yeah,
narrative.
go on.
Very good narrative, though.
no, but I feel like making the player understand that it's that it's not, that it's fictional is part of the game. Like, I was analyzing this game after finishing it today, and my brain hurts from how meta it is.
It is very meta.
It's meta beyond comprehension. It's even more meta than Anuk.
Thank you.
Wow. This was before Anuk. I know where Anuk was born.
Yeah.
Before that.
Anuk, you have been out meta'd.
Well, thing is, Anuk's no longer meta. He's big.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yes.
You're not
Alright.
quoting things that no one else will know.
No one else understands.
That's fine.
No, some people do in the comments. Yes,
No.
you know what we're talking about.
No.
No.
Anyways, moving on.
I mean, other things to do with the presentation, the narration, the basically the Davey Redden himself. If that is actually him, I think it's him. I don't think he hired a voice actor. David Redden.
I would believe that's him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's well done narration. I was never like he's a game developer, but he can talk well, which as we go through the story we'll see that is true. But he can talk well. I never was misunderstanding what he was saying. I played the game without subtitles because I was like, this is fine. But there are subtitles, and they work. I mean, the game itself, even without subtitles, has moments of subtitling, important ones. Yeah. So presentation-wise, that's what you get. That's what you really like. That's what the game is, and it tells the story of this developer through the developer's games, and that's the sell of what. If you like that, play it. If you're interested by that, play it. Yeah, and they come back in and watch this. So yeah. So
once again, won't take you too long, like our previous game.
It's an hour long, yeah.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half long. Hour if you rush through it, but it's hard to rush through this game. There's no real like bunny hopping mechanics or breaking the game mechanics that you can employ to speed run your way through it. It is a walking simulator. You walk to the
You walk.
I think the game is also paced very well because I played it twice over the past 3 days. I just because the second time, there's a reason why I will play it twice. When even walking all the way to the end, just without stopping to see the sights of whatever he's describing. The game never overlapped with narration or never got cut off. It felt like it was paced pretty damn well. Although the best way it's paced is when you are listening to the narrator talking about something and then moving on, you know?
I wished I could have played the game in one sitting, but sadly I have a problem with playing Source Engine games in their default settings. I've had this problem with Half-Life 1 and 2, it gives me a headache. It's something to do with the FOV. And the beginner's guide doesn't allow any sort of setting
FOV
change.
changing.
Yeah.
Mm.
So my first,
That's fair.
yeah, my one and only playthrough, I had to split it in two because first time it kind of hurt my head, especially the older games. The like because like it's going through the years, yeah. So like the ones from 2009, like up to 2010 were like headache inducing.
Mm. Is that why Halo reaches?
It's not made in source.
Jeez.
I'll let you know when I finish it.
Can't wait.
So never. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So I forgot what I was going to say. Are there not like anti-FOV glasses you can wear?
I do not want to get glasses specifically to play this game.
No, to play some games, although it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't.
I mean, again, we're getting off track here, but like, I don't think there's a lot of Source games from that perspective.
Now it is.
No, yeah.
So,
I mean, it's fine. Like, whatever games that I did play, like, I just fix the FOV and then I'm good.
We played 2 games that were made in Source, or Source. Well, one of the sources.
It's just the FOV is way too wide. That's the problem. I thought it was.
I can understand.
I thought it wasn't wide enough, but turns out it's the opposite problem.
It's too wide.
It's too wide. But yeah.
Yeah.
So after the Counter-Strike level.
After the Counter-Strike level, it goes through. It goes through a bunch of different levels. We don't have to get into all of them, but I'm just wondering. First playthrough of the game, was there any levels that interested you? That what's the word? Was interesting enough, because one thing, playing it through a second time, there's the collection of 4 games where it starts with entering game, where it's just you're walking down a dirt path and you're entering, and then you have 2 games, and then you have the exiting game, almost like those 2 games, between those 2 games are connected.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that's interesting is that the first game is the staircase game, where you have to walk up a staircase, and it slows you down to a crawl as you get up. You get nearer to the top, but like it's so slow that it'll take you like a while to start crawling up there.
Until you get the speed up glitch.
Yeah, and he says you can just click enter to ignore that, But and when you get in there, it's just a small little room with little ideas for games. I don't remember what Davies' interpretation was when he said that, but the way I understood it was that it's talking about how because later on in the game, Coda has struggles with getting ideas, like finding new ideas and stuff. And this is earlier on, and he's showing that game making, going up the staircase, at some point you just start to crawl, trying to find a new idea, trying to get new ideas, and so this game is representing that. And of course, you can turn around and go back or stop in place because you don't want to crawl all the way. But if you keep crawling, you will get to some cool ideas or some nice little ideas for games that you want to do, which is very true about art in general. Like anyone who's an artist would know that just you're just stuck sometimes. But if you stop, you're never gonna find the answer to the problems you're having with your creation. And I like that. And then how it was connected to the second game, which was just a corridor with a puzzle, and then you enter into the next room. The thing is that Davy allows you to see outside of the room, but technically, you as the player, without Davy's interference, you would not see any of that outside. And that is showing how this very tiny little game of just a corridor, a puzzle, and a room, and that's it. You all you see as the player is that you just see this little puzzle game, but the thing you don't get to see is the amount of effort all around you that the dev had to go through to
To get to
perfect.
that level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that. And the thing, the thing that was interesting was Davey never commented on that. And knowing later on what happens, it's apparent. By the way, we'll start to get into spoilers around now. I should have. I thought I said this, and then I realized I didn't.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
fine. Again, yeah, it's a short game, so obviously whatever we
Yeah.
speak about goes in spoiled
Yeah. If
territory.
you're interested by the idea, you don't want spoilers, I would just say play it.
Let it come back.
If you played it already, hey, welcome.
Welcome back.
We're probably gonna we're probably gonna talk about it in context of what happens later.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Can't really
so
talk about it without spoiling it.
yeah, because the game is most interesting knowing what the ending is.
Mm.
So goodbye.
And welcome back when you finish.
And welcome back after finishing. Yeah. So yeah, that level, those levels interest me, especially on the second time playing, because it was interesting. Yeah.
Interesting.
There was also the walking backwards level and stuff.
I
doing
think
weird
the
stuff like that.
walking backwards level was the most mechanically fun game that was there. As in, like, it's a cool concept game because at least I haven't seen anything done like that before. So like, it was interesting. I don't know if I would play a full game if that was if one was made like that, but I can see how the concept could be used to make one.
Like a
But
horror game.
I don't know. You could do anything with that. There were like a lot of games that were they like spoke to you differently, which is weird. Like the entire story felt like it felt personal to a certain degree. Maybe it was just like it relates to people in like different ways. Like to me, the staircase climbing one and the house cleaning one were like the two that I kind of related to a lot.
Because you like cleaning dishes.
No. It's what they say at the end.
Right.
Do you enjoy this?
No, it's not that. What the character in the house says at the end is like cleaning your house is a lot like cleaning your soul. In that, you know.
And you were like, damn, bro, that's very sweet.
Damn, bro.
Straight facts.
That's some A-grade shit. Hold up. Is this writing fire?
It was that, and also the fact that when I realized the gameplay was looping, that it was meant to signify that it's okay to be like doing this same thing over and over again. Like technically that game was never meant to end.
Yes.
Yeah. You keep doing the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, because Davey's the one who's like, all right,
cuts it off.
moving on.
Yeah, puts a lamppost.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, did either of y'all, well, Akshan already expressed his, but like, did either of you, Dilantha, Anuk, have any sort of... Did y'all have a game you're like, even if it's not something that you like related to?
I mean, most of the games, at least for me, was mediocre in a sense. Like, it didn't really click with me. Not that the game was bad, it's just that it was just what's the word? It was not a finished or polished game, so I didn't really have a full experience of the game, so to say. So I wasn't able to fully vibe with the game. That makes sense.
Philanthrop?
So
I also don't think like I can't point to a specific level and say that like, wow, I like this. I think for me it's more the narrative as a whole that got to me. Like obviously like the parts I think you and Akshan expressed right like these certain specific parts of like the creative process and also your life changing soul cleaning one.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is like I think for me it's more the narrative itself that's interesting as opposed to the actual level itself. I think the levels itself they convey the ideas well, but I feel like it's again more on the story or more on the narrative than the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my thing about this game is that like it feels like it's covered a lot of it's covered a lot of the journey that a I'll just say like a creator or an artist would take. It doesn't necessarily have to be a game developer.
Yeah,
I would
Mhm.
say like
that's fair.
in like in any sort of like
Medium.
creative, yeah, in any sort of like creative work. That's what I'll say a creator rather than an artist. Like it just feels like that, and like I related to that on a personal level, like through certain bits. Also, I feel like that's also something that this game was trying to do, like certain parts. But like, yeah, I feel like the entire narrative is supposed to be what hits you in the end, even if you can't relate to
A particular
certain
part.
bits, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it covers
I did-
everything: the isolation, the ideas.
I did remember. I do remember one other level that when I first played it, like 2015, uh, struck with me really strongly, and it was the stage level, the part where you're going on stage and a guy's telling you what to do.
Yeah.
That really got to me because I cannot express how effectively this describes uh, social anxiety. Like I relate to that level
Fine.
so deeply. I cannot explain social anxiety better than that level. I feel like if someone had to ask me what is social anxiety, I'd be like, play this level.
Mm,
It is so much easier because every single answer in the list of options for what you can say is wrong. Because when there's someone in a room, even if I know them, every part of my thought is telling me, nothing you say is the right answer. Go home.
yeah, and the that level ends with you retreating into the darkness.
Yes, level retreat because that's his Coda as a recluse, and that's how he's dealing with his what do you call social anxiety. Uh, yeah, I like bouncing on the balls though.
balls.
Uh, so this game is very mechanically light, but very each individual game that Coda is trying to communicate an idea with is interesting. It doesn't have a lot of like mechanical depth, but it has a lot of artistic depth, especially when you know uh, uh, everything when you get to the end and you know what Davy did and how it might have affected the way Coda has been making his games. Uh, yeah, I mean, just to like say it flatly, Dave. If you played the game, you know what this is. If you haven't, you can listen it. But Davey, basically, the entire collection that Davy's putting out there, uh, he did it against Coda's wishes. And Coda, that was not the only thing Coda doesn't like stop talking to Davy for, but it is probably the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
And it's the final level where all of that is revealed. The thing that was interesting was how there are three sections to that tower level. One is that in like the really difficult maze where
Mm.
you are sent back to the start if you mess up, and you have to guess the 7-digit code,
Mhm.
and then there's a door which you cannot open because it's on the lever's on the other side. All three of those things. The thing that I was thinking was, okay, he sent this to Davey. He knew that because Davey breaks his games, he knew that only Davey would get to the end of this.
Yeah.
And I found that really, I like second playthrough, like more recently, I was like, oh, that's why he, okay, I see. And a part of me wonders if Davey never got to the end, would Coda still be in contact with him? I don't know. Maybe like Coda's thinking, on the off chance that he doesn't break my game like he always does, we'll still talk. But I'm guessing he was pretty sure that Davey was going to do his Daviness and break his game, change it, make it more accessible as like, they have arguments over. Things like that. And Session, I believe you said that you had an I don't know if this is right, but you said you had an inkling of what was going to happen and then it happened. I'm not sure if that's right.
No, like my thing was that like similar to you when I played it, I did think that this was kind of like because when it starts out kind of like you feel like it's like a real life telling of someone's work of like of their journey, right? You feel that way up until a certain point because you're like, okay, Davey is putting his friend's work out there to show to the world and, maybe publicize it, make it popular, famous, whatever. And so, like, that's there. But at a certain point, like very close to the end, you realize that it's not actually true. You realize that it's fictional. And that's like, I'm in my head, I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the part where everyone just realizes that it's not true. Because it sets I feel like it's set like a realistic premise in the start.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there is a point where you are like, okay, this is not real, this is all fictional. There's a lot of things to unpack with that, and like
You want to know when I realized it was fictional?
when
It was after the game was over. I was 17 years old. I'd finished playing the game. I was like, damn, that was a really deep, real story that was just told. And then I thought about it. I was like,
Wait a minute.
yeah,
wait a minute.
Something smells a little fishy.
Yeah.
and like the other thing is that like I don't know. Do you all think that Coda is meant to represent another person or another part of Davy?
It's another person.
I actually thought until the end again, or like towards the end, I thought that Coda was meant to be Davy.
Even I thought that.
That was just like him. It was just him, like pretending
Person.
that this is a third person,
Mm-hmm.
but then it would end up by like, and that person was me.
Or it could be
Yeah.
multiple.
And then post-credit scene, and it's like Davy will return in Wonder Stop or something like
Yeah,
that.
just taking two aspects of his personality that are conflicting with each other and making them characters.
You were saying, Anup?
Multiple personality disorder, you think?
Well, I mean, the thing is, when it comes out to stories, people tend to. There's a movie that's very similar. If this is what the game's doing, called Adaptation, which the story of the of that movie is the writer of the movie trying to write the movie, and in the movie he creates a brother character, but in real life he doesn't have a brother. So it's like it's more like he's like there are two aspects of his personality that are in conflict, that are like against each other, that probably frustrate him, and so he split them up in story form to make it clearer.
I also think that it's not. I don't think it's split personality. I think it is like two aspects of him, because like it made sense to me that like, okay, the main thing is Coda wants to make games for his own enjoyment, whereas Davey wants to put it out there. He wants to get the praise, and he wants to get, like,
He wants to be popular.
he wants to be popular for it, and like those are two conflicting things, because
Mhm.
he loves the game the way it was made, but Davey takes it and turns it around so that it's playable,
Mhm.
and like you're twisting your creation to suit your audience, whereas by the end that product is not what you wanted it to be. Because when you're writing any piece of art form, you're always thinking about how it's going to be perceived, interpreted by your audience.
Mhm.
Whereas when you're making it for yourself, you only care about what you think and you make it the way you perceive it. So Davey is the side that's like, it's going out to the world. I need to fix it and make it playable. He turns the 1 hour stuck in a prison into just a few seconds.
A few seconds.
He makes every puzzle in the
Every
tower.
difficult part, he
Yeah.
just like skips through it.
Yeah.
With a cheat or something. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Art versus capitalism.
Not really capitalism, because they never talk about money. It's more
not-
it's more validation, because
Mm.
yeah.
if more people are able to play the game, more people will end up liking the game, and so more people validate you. And at the end of the whole game, he's like, one of the things Davey says is like almost like
Yeah, the
grief.
external validation is what
Yeah.
that side of him was really looking
He cannot
for.
imagine living life without external validation. Like, he cannot conceive that idea, which is why he's so confused by Coda not needing that.
And it makes more sense when you think about that this game comes directly after the creation of the Stanley Parable, because the Stanley Parable was such a success in a way, right? It gained a lot of following, it gained a lot of popularity. And to follow on the back of that, the mental toll it must have taken might have really, flipped a switch somewhere.
Yeah. I was reading something where he said that what do you call? He was responding to people who love the Sandy Parable, like emailing them. But the more he responded, the less genuine he was with each response, each following response, because it sort of became a machine, just like recycling the same.
I understood that reference.
Yeah.
Because in the game itself, Coda is personified as a machine. One thing that was interesting to me is that every single time the game tries to, or rather Coda tries to, not really the game, but Coda, every single time he's choosing like a gender for the player, he always tends to pick female, which was interesting to me, because when you're going to interrogate the machine, the person at the door is like,
Ma'am.
ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, the machine is inside. And earlier on, it's just people. I was wondering in this. I mean, the most accepted interpretation is that this is Code, this is Davy, and Code, like, this is Davy. Coda is Davy, and Davy is Davy. But I was also wondering if in this fictional world, whether he was trying to like not disclose Coda's identity so much and change her gender to him when writing him. I don't know. As I was playing, I was like, would he have done that? Might he have done that?
It's possible, but I feel like that's a whole other
I think
Can of worms.
I think
can of
highly
worms to unpack. Yeah.
I think highly unlikely, just because like you tend to. I mean, like if you think about like any other game with like characters, there are just some people. Akshan, you're like a perfect example of this. Like every single time you play any game where you're given a choice to pick a male or female character, you pick a female character.
Well,
That is true.
thing is, like I was going to comment on that as well. I was gonna, I
Hold the
feel like
microphone. Hold the microphone. He's got
part of
something.
the reason that I do that, I also do that when I'm writing. Like I feel far more comfortable writing a character who's female, and it's mostly because I can see less of myself in them. I can disconnect myself from them because when I write a male character, they just turn. I like
It's
I
turning to you.
they just turn to me, and I don't like looking or hearing or seeing me. So I just rather turn them a different gender. I'm like, okay, that's a different person. Easy.
Maybe that's the same thing. Maybe like you're
And
trying to
as
disconnect.
Davey says, he says, what do you call? I think I something because I don't like myself near the end.
Mhm.
And I feel like there's that element is kind of there, maybe. I'm not sure. And it's very okay. First time I played the game, when I got to that ending, I was sitting there like extremely surprised. Probably because I thought it was real as well, but extremely surprised by the twist, the the sudden twist that this is a game made for Davey to tell him I don't want to be your friend anymore. And I was very shocked by it, very surprised by it, and suddenly the whole game, the first time I played it, it was a dissection and analysis of Coda, right? Second time I played it recently, although I played it in 2019 apparently. But second time I played it, I realized that because I knew what was coming, it was a dissection and analysis of Davy, the character of Davy, because every single comment he made started to have a second meaning and a second like interpretation. Because first time I just accepted all of his interpretations because I thought, okay, you're the narrator, you're guiding me. Second time, okay, I know that you're messing with some of this. So what about why did you mess with it? I started to wonder like why are you changing things about the game? Why do you feel this way? Why as I also wonder why are the lampposts at the very end? And something that really the second time I played, I had like a light bulb moment, which is the lampposts. Near the end, not near the end, at the end, he says, Coda says, "Can you stop adding lampposts to my games? To the end of my games, because they represent the end." Which sometimes he doesn't want to end, but Davy's telling him to end, so he puts a lamppost.
Yeah.
The thing, I was playing the level where the lampposts were first introduced, where it's a prison. It's the prison where you're stuck in there for an hour.
And then you get to the courtyard where the lamppost is.
Yeah. You start out in a white void with this very majestic music playing. And then you go down into this little cafe and you go all the way down into this prison. You're stuck in the prison for a bit, and then you go through the puzzle. Where you meet these people who want to figure out what the puzzle is to get to the surface world, and they say they're in a prison, and then as you go down, then these other guys say, no, it's fine, I'm fine being here. And then you go out to the courtyard, as you said, where the lamppost is, and you're surrounded by walls of housing, of buildings.
Yeah.
And I realized the second time, this is the a character, this person's descent from like this ethereal surface world to this very conformist prison where everything is as should be. Everything is set in stone. The walls are telling you where to go, yada yada. And what was funny was that was the part where Davey starts talking about accessibility and how he had arguments with Coda about accessibility. And The lamppost is just at the end of that level. I don't think it meant anything really. But every single time he puts it at the end, the thing I'm thinking is that Coda says, "Can you stop putting lampposts at my level?" I'm thinking, does he mean that you make me stop making the game so I add a lamppost to it? Because the lamppost represents that conforming.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
Right. Okay. I understand now what you mean. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. I thought it was okay. Wow.
And you
Yeah.
see why I said this game makes you think too much.
It, it was really interesting. It was really interesting that figuring out that, and then there are so many other things because even playing it a third time, that was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
what that means. Oh, there are some parts of the game that I still don't really understand.
I went into like a different realm after
This
this.
is the meta realm
Sean, would you say that you went on a
trip.
A journey.
journey?
I watched someone, right, for half an hour explain to me what was it like? Is it like the theory of language? Like the theory of language, theory of authorship, and the theory of, well, there was a third theory. But he was explaining that and how it relates to this game, and my brain hurts.
What was the sorry? Like, what was the theory in simple in normal people terms?
Basically,
They met
In
basically,
layman terms, thank you.
basically, the theory of language is that like you have a specific idea of something in your head, and the only way you can communicate it to someone else is by putting it in any sort of like common phrasing. So, like if it's language, it's like English words. And then you take those words, you process that information, and you build that picture in your own head. But what you are perceiving and what I am perceiving are two different things. They will never be the same.
Okay.
And there's no way that we can compare these things because the only way we can compare is through that common language. So it's like a secret language being turned into a common language, converted back into a secret language.
everything's a secret.
Everything's a secret language.
Everything's a secret language.
And so that apparently relates to authors and audience and the way that this is trying to be a meta commentary on that and so many other things.
This game is a real thinker.
This game is a real
Game is
thinker.
a real
Yeah.
thinker.
You think like a Marmaduke.
But there's one other aspect to this game, like a very simple one. I felt this because like I don't know if you all did, but you kind of, at least on your first playthrough, you kind of relate to the narrator. You kind of relate to Davy in a certain way. And like once you learn that he's betrayed Coda and his trust, it made me feel like a shitty person.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
That you went through and played the games that he didn't want to play. Yeah, I guess so.
That,
You feel you
but
invaded his
also,
privacy, is it?
yes, that's exactly it.
What?
You
Yeah,
invaded his
100%.
privacy, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It makes you feel like a bad person. Like by the like when that detail is revealed that it's not meant.
Because you, along with Davy, are judging Coda along with him. Even if it's in earnest, you're not thinking he's a bad person. You're still judging him. You know, you're like, oh, he's feeling depressed here. Oh, he's yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And so when you get to the end, that he never wanted any of this to be seen, you feel it in you.
Yeah, you feel like a drop in your stomach, like, oh.
And the other thing is that like you're just, like Akshan said, you're listening to Davy. He's the narrator. He apparently knows this world. He's played these games. He understands its meaning somehow.
You trust him. You take him at his word.
Yeah. So like a good example was like the level where it's like, you know, floating islands. Like Davy says that this is supposed to be a representation of Coda's isolation and his loneliness or something. But like you don't really stop to think about it. Like it could be anything else. but like the narrator and Dave, like they just, I mean, the same person, they just stop you from really thinking and like making your own conclusion about it, because you're just like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to think.
Whatever you say.
Yeah, whatever you say, this is what
Whatever
I'm
you say.
supposed to think. And like I found apparently like some people also related to that entire Coda Davy dynamic with like the like losing a friend, like
Yeah,
what it's like to lose a friend, kind of. And like I did feel that.
yeah. Especially when you're on the side of it that person doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. Yeah, that it's this game. I mean, the game is about many things. It's about art. It's about interpretation. It's about games as well. But it's also about friendship and like that being like respectful in a friendship. You know,
Yeah.
like one of the things that was on the wall that made me go like, oh, Davey, what's wrong with you? is he says maybe I wouldn't have told so many people he was depressed.
Yeah.
if someone told me he just liked making prisons.
Yeah, like instead of meaning that you're trapped, it could just mean that you like being alone.
Yeah. Actually, you know, the prisons, when I was playing the second time, after realizing that the lamppost was regarding conforming and all that, the prisons themselves are like separate. You are in a cell where you're surrounded by furniture and not nature, basically. You know, it's going further with that idea that being in this very conformed life is like a prison, very structured like existence rather. Yeah, it's interesting. It is a very very interesting game that you can play a few times.
I think about twice, maybe.
Twice is probably the max. Twice you'll probably get all of it. One thing that I want to ask is the puzzle. What do you all think the puzzle means?
I didn't think about it too much. Being honest, thought it was just it
was just a puzzle.
It's just a puzzle. Obviously, no. I knew there was a meaning behind it, but as you can imagine, I didn't think too much on what the meaning.
It comes back quite a few times. I'm trying to remember. First time it was just a puzzle.
It's the only time that I feel like what the narrator was saying about it is the only truth, but like I can't seem to think of anything else outside of that. In that,
I think what Davey says is true, that there's a dark space between, you know, like the two ends.
I was thinking more that like it's you have to close the door behind you in order to open the one in front of you. Like you need to close.
You need to leave the past behind.
You need to close that chapter of your life to move on to the next.
Maybe. The thing I'm wondering is that later on, Coda refers to that puzzle a few times, and when he refers to it, he's almost enamored with the idea of being in the dark space, like staying in the dark space for a while.
I relate with that, but it didn't really impact as well as the game probably intended.
The thing I'm remembering is, do you remember the house cleaning level? How it's separated by two doors, the puzzle doors.
Yeah.
And that the house cleaning section is between the two doors. Yeah. Meaning that the entire house cleaning game takes place in the dark space.
Yeah.
That and the final level of the game, you walk into a puzzle and there's no lever.
Yeah. Continue what you were gonna say. I'll say my piece later.
I don't. The thing is, I don't know what it means to me or anyone. but I know that it clearly means something to Coda.
I can give you
like
my
that
interpretation of it based on what I felt, but
Go for
Yeah,
it.
go ahead.
because I kind of have a similar thing where it's like when I'm starting new things in my life, I do feel like I'm in limbo, and that's what, not the game.
I was just about to say it.
Before one of you two
Limbo.
said it, you feel like you're in this dark space between the chapter of your life. It is a good it's a very short representation because like it is a very short it is a very short time frame. Like for example, it's happened to me when right before starting a new job, right? So that's like before quitting the previous one and starting the new one, right? Like before doing anything, before I uh, moved abroad to the UK for a year to do uni, like all those big changes in my life. Right before them, I had these moments like where it's like it feels like you're in darkness because you don't know what's happening up ahead and you're only thinking about what's behind you. And when you think about the puzzle at that way, it's like you walk in, you open the door to try to go to your next chapter of life, but you're too scared to close the door behind you. Right when you enter that dark space, you're too scared to close the door behind you because then you'll be left in the dark. But the only way you move forward is by being in that darkness, flipping the switch, and then moving on.
Yeah, taking a risk because without knowing the solution to the puzzle, you're taking a risk by closing the door and then just going to the other side because you can't open it back again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that's my interpretation of it. It's like it's that phase. Like it realistically speaking, it is short, but it feels like a
It's
risk.
short.
Like Akshan said.
Yes. I can vibe with that. I can vibe with that. And he brings it back quite a few times. I wonder if I would need to play the game again. But or
For
just
third time.
I feel like from the
All
game
time.
from the game dev's perspective, it's probably like it's a thing, right? Like where we feel like the chapter is over because the lamppost is there. But Coda leaves it open ended. So maybe those puzzles are like a way to say, I am too afraid to leave this behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. It's that there's a lot of depth you could go into this game. I'm trying to remember. There's something that happens at the end, which is I don't know why I didn't realize it's fictional at that moment, but there's a point where the solution the puzzle game like he shows a bunch of puzzle games and he has a final one which is you just go to a payphone and you talk to yourself that was in the puzzle.
Yeah.
And as you're talking to him, Davey over the phone or over all this is saying sometimes that's what you need. You just need someone to tell you that someone close to you to tell you that everything's going to be okay. Like that refrain at the very end of the game when he's stuck in those two doors after the tower section, and he's yelling into the void, so to speak, like calling out to Coda and telling him, please, like I apologize, I'm sorry, yada yada yada. The final thing he says is, I just want someone to tell me it'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
And second time I played it, I was like, oh man, that's what he said there. Jeez. And it also it doubles on to mean that he doesn't have anyone really in his life that he can talk to in that way. And it's the game itself is tragic, as I wouldn't call it a happy ending anyway. But yeah, that was an interesting point for the game to end, and then it has an epilogue, of course, which kind of breaks the whole illusion of this being a presentation of someone's games, because the epilogue he never explains that this is Coda's game.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's just it's very interesting. You're just walking through these very like nicely placed structures, and going through these environments that sort of sway and change in tone, in style, in architecture. Like you're going from the deserts where these pillars are there, and then the train, all these different things, until you get to the end, where you come across the machine that
The beam thing, yeah.
the beam thing that you enter into and you raise up, and you rise up and you start to see that you're in a maze. You're surrounded by a maze as you're rising up, and you're in the middle of space with this maze there. The thing that I think I realized it's the first time as well, which is that the second game that he shows us is the sci-fi space game.
Yeah.
And he says, I love how you can see the bottom of the world from here, and you can look out the window and see that there's the space has four corners to it, and then there's just a flat white nothing at the bottom. As you're rising up at the very end of the game,
there's no corners.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's kind. I don't know if I could see corners, maybe, but as you rise up, the maze itself starts to blur together, almost like it is that white space that was at the bottom of the world in the second game, which is essentially Coda's first game. Like the first game, Counter-Strike is not.
Yeah,
it's not a game. Yeah, it's just a level.
Just a level. So I like how it connected those two games together, and it was very, very interesting way they end the game. And then the whole thing ends with a very tiny credit section with a very short song.
Yeah. That epilogue felt like the different elements of it kind of felt like it was trying to represent, everyone say it with me, the journey.
The journey.
The ending of the journey.
The ending of the. It seems like a poetic ending.
Yeah, it was very much poetic.
Yeah.
It's like an abstract poetic.
Anuk, are you going to cry?
Coda.
About?
You know?
When you hear the song at the end, were you tearing up?
No,
Turn back.
not really.
With tears rolling down your cheek.
My butt cheeks.
All right,
Okay, then.
Lovely. It was a good song.
I could be a poet
In this scenario.
in this
I can already do it once, I can do it again.
This game, it hurt me in the head.
In my PP.
Wow.
I don't know
All
how
right.
you
On
played
that
it.
note,
I don't know.
On that note.
Please,
I
Anuk.
think we
Did you play on? What did you use to play this game?
My PP.
Thanks for the clarification. You're no longer a mouse and keyboard player.
My PP player. Nice.
PNP player. All right. So
Anyway.
I think we've talked about everything there is to do with this game. I think I'm not sure. I'm not sure I've left out anything or missed out anything.
There's too much to talk about. That's a
There's too much
problem.
stuff. Like, we could.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of subtle points which, again, I think it's open to interpretation. A lot of
It
things.
is.
There is your own perspective of things. Hey, who knows? The only person who really knows is Davey at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And whatever we said today, again, it's Akshan's, it's Seshan's, mine, and Yanuk said some things too.
Thanks.
But again, it's like it's very open to your interpretation. I think that's an interesting point to.
Yeah.
Your
Because Davey has not talked about this game that like in regards in depth. He probably talked about it in terms of like like I made this game and that's it. but he's not really talked about the game that much, and which is in line with the thinking of Coda, which is he doesn't really talk about his games as he's making them. It's very.
I do feel like this is like I feel like a lot of people feel like this is like an accurate retelling of his journey as a game dev.
Yeah,
But like
the game goes from 2008 to 2011, and 2011 is when the Stanley Parable came out, the first mod rather.
yeah, so like it feels like again, like you mentioned, Dilanta, like it's probably we probably will never know whether that's the right whether that's
Whether
the
it's
right
right,
thing.
whether the meaning, like whether the meaning is whatever we think it is. But
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, with art, sometimes
beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
B movie.
no, sometimes the creator itself doesn't have a strong answer that I think it was Tarantino. Tarantino will never explain what's in the suit briefcase in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
It's that he wants to hear everyone's answer but his own. Because he what do you call, and very much like Beginner's Guide, I don't think Davey wants his interpretation to be stamped onto the wiki. I don't know how to put it.
Yeah.
He wants it to be open and everyone have an opinion on what it is about.
Everyone had an opinion because that's the point of it,
Yeah, I feel like everyone interpreted it differently, and like that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just about how you relate to it.
Yeah. Interesting game. Short game, and in that spirit, I think we're coming close to the conclusion for today. But first, as always, we must talk about the achievements. Seshan?
Yeah. So before I continue talking about the achievements, this game is a 10 out of 10 in terms of the achievements.
Perfect.
Amazing. Can't wait to
Every
see how long
achievement
it
hunter
takes.
should try this game. You know why? There isn't a single damn achievement. And I am glad after the Stanley Parable, we wouldn't, if it went along the lines of the Stanley Parable, we wouldn't have had this episode for the next 10 years.
True. Yeah. Stanley Parable.
Actually,
Speaking of inaccessible Stanley Parable achievements. Yeah, there are no achievements for this, as Seshat said. Have fun. Yeah, I think we're coming to our ratings now. Ratings. Are we having fun with the ratings? We're going to either give it a try it or a skip it, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going first because I picked the game. This game, when I first played it, I feel like it really affected the way I think about not just games, probably just art in general. Because I never really thought that in depth about art at all, about movies, about anything, but then playing this game, it just sort of like it jump started an element of my thought that I never knew could be, and I started thinking about like things in terms of the creator, in terms of who made it, and I'm very, very grateful for this game for giving me that, because I don't think I would like I don't think I would have liked some of the games I've played, like some of the movies I've seen, without having that gear in me that thinks about who made it. Yeah. So, and the game itself, in regards to how its engagement, I was very engaged throughout all of it. Playing it a second time, I was even more engaged. Yeah, so for me, this game is a try it. Poo poo. Next to me is Seshan. Seshan, go ahead.
My favorite tutorial is yeah. So I'm gonna be honest, I'll quickly briefly run through the process. When I was playing the game, like I said, I thought of it as like a documentary style, like realistic retelling of something that happened in the developer or the creator's life, whatever. I was thinking about it, thinking about whether this is before I finished the game. I was thinking whether this is actually something worth playing. I feel like it's very subjective whether you'll actually like someone's story, because everyone has a different story. And I was initially going to give it a skip it until I reached the ending and hurt my brain about every single thing that this game has to offer. Yeah, I related to it on a personal level with a couple of the levels. I don't know if I could necessarily call myself a creator because I don't fully commit to a certain thing, either music or art or anything like that. But I do feel like I relate to it in some particular way. I feel like we all create something or the other in terms of entertainment. So
This
that's
podcast, for
this
example.
podcast, for example. Yeah, I mean, technically, that does make us creators. It's like it does like help me relate.
Sorry, nothing. Continue.
It does help me relate to what what the developer is trying to say through the story, and the way it makes you think about certain things that you don't necessarily think about because it's just so commonplace in society, and it's just so commonplace in your everyday living. Like especially like the fact that like the relationship between author and audience and all that. It's a game that makes you think is something you don't have usually these days. Games are mindless these days in that they give you a yellow marker, tell you to go there, listen to the voice that's speaking in your head, or through a radio comm and tells you to do this. This game, with very little explanation and a lot of storytelling, makes you think a lot. Which, if that is something that interests you, which not everyone would be interested in, but if you're interested in like seeing what this game has to offer and whether it would change you, I wouldn't say like an hour or 1.5 hours is that difficult for you to give. So try it, see if it changes your perspective on things.
Cool.
Next to me is
Me. Okay, I didn't give much information throughout the podcast, as you all noticed. I mean, it was not really my thing, so to say.
Hmm.
I would say narration was good. The story was good, but did it stand out to me? Not really. Like, did it hit me personally? No, not really either. But in a general perspective, I think it was nice, but again, not my thing. So overall, I would say skip it. It would be good as a walking simulator, but not as a game for me, at least. But that is my take on it. Over to you, Dilanta.
My time. Anyway, okay. First off, I want to say
you're a hater.
no. I mean, yes, on this podcast, I am the hater. But the main thing I want to say is, I think again, Akshat and Sashank kind of sold it with again their freaking uh, their deep dives into it. But I think this game is art. It is pure art from start to beginning. There's just something like I know we've had like museum exhibits for video games before. I think this is like perfect for something like that, where like this is the type of thing that you want to see in museums. That's how good, like as an art piece, amazing. Okay, amazing. Um, as a game, I would say it was not. I don't like doing this part particularly, but I feel like for this one it's very important because I feel like this is a very unique piece. But I'm going to caveat this one. as a game, I don't think it's a great video game. I feel like some people tend not. Again, this is completely separate to the art side of it. The art side of it is amazing art piece, but as a video game, I don't know how many people will truly appreciate what it is, and I feel like that's why it's very hard for me to just say try it simply, just on the basis of like, I did enjoy it, but just saying try it without giving the caveat, I think it's a bit irresponsible. So I'm going to say it that way. If you do appreciate the art side of video games, this is the one to play. And my answer is a try it. However, I will say that the game aspect of it is not really there. It's more for the experience, for the narrative. That is what you're here for. Try it. That's all.
Yeah,
I
I would agree.
I feel like we made it a bit obvious in that like, yeah, so to summarize, this game is not about mechanics, not about anything flashy. It's about telling a story through simple mechanics.
Yeah. This, I mean, I concur with Delanta. It is a great game as art.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a great game as game, you can check out our video on Titanfall 2, which came out 2 months ago.
You mean a month ago? Oh, 2 months ago. Sorry, my bad. Yes,
You are getting your months wrong.
I'm getting my months wrong. My bad.
This guy's still living in February.
Yeah. No, I'm living in January.
That's a pretty big game. If maybe your computer can't run it, you can check out our episode on Sheepy. Of course, Sheepy is also a short game. It's a little bit more game intensive. Has some gameplay mechanics.
It's a short adventure.
Enjoy. Yeah, it's a short adventure. Then of course we have Bear and Breakfast, which we talked about in
November. Season 1.
November. Yeah, that you can watch that. See what we talked about Bear's ascending to godhood and fighting God. Our upcoming video is going to be on Chinese Parents, a game about growing up in China with Chinese parents. Yeah.
Get ready
And
for some psychological horror. What?
No, continue.
What did you say, Anu?
He said,
No,
growing
you're
up
not
with-
just
yeah.
growing up with Asian parents.
I don't have to tell you this, Anuk, but the title
It's
is
Chinese.
Chinese parents.
Don't generalize all the Asians.
Wow, Anuk, that's just not cool.
Yeah.
Please, this, Anuk.
You're gonna get cancelled.
If people could see your face,
We actually
they
get
know.
cancer on the episode.
Yeah, and then after that, we haven't recorded it yet, but we're going to have our game selection video for the second quadmester for the months of May to August.
Yeah. May, June, July, August. Yeah, next 4 games. We're probably not gonna know who's picking what. Well, not we don't know. The
I know what
games.
I'm picking.
Yeah, you know.
My game is the polar opposite of what I just picked.
I thought you were going to say the name right now. I was like, whoa.
I was gonna say we don't know what the order is going to be because we're probably
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
shuffle it this time around, do
I'm gonna
things
spin the wheel
different.
again.
We're gonna
Exciting.
turn that parabola.
They're gonna turn that parabola. I'm excited. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe, you can follow, you can do all the things that you do on the specific app that you're using this on, and catch us up for the next video. And you can check out all our previous videos. You have so many at this point. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Begin. Let's go.
Bye bye.
Bye.